So much. That was really great. It's so important to recognize the fact that our inner voice, our instincts
Hmm.
are more times right than wrong.
Hmm.
And we should never just defer or default to what we're seeing and hearing around us and accept that as what we should do or how we should move forward. I had a few great shares in the group that I facilitated as well. We saw that the personalities really struggled with identities around culture,
Hmm.
access to resources, geographic, like where you live. In the great United States of America, if you're down south and you're viewed as a Yankee, that's a whole different label and a different experience. Or if you have a certain last name and you fall into a stereotyped category. Um, but it's very interesting that there was a disenfranchisement from a part of a family because of language barrier. And you talk about silence, we mentioned dialogue, but language is so important because it is such a big part of identity. So imagine being a part of a family and you're not really able to literally communicate with another group or a part of your family because you didn't learn the language. You didn't have to. You didn't grow up in that environment. You grew up in a blended, mixed, actually predominantly white environment. So you didn't need to learn and immerse yourself, but you had cut yourself off from such a rich part of your experience. And then in conversation, it was shared that her father, although he grew up in this country, went to an American or a British school and was forced or not forced, but the practice was to learn English. And I remember I'm of West Indian heritage. We would always pride ourselves on speaking the Queen's English and not the local patois, which was that broken English. That was frowned upon. And so in her situation, her father very much had a British accent. Even though he grew up in his homeland, he did not speak that language and was not taught in the school. Very interesting experiences of being denied the privilege of donating blood because your last name sounds really different. I'm not comfortable with that. Not sure that I can permit myself to see your humanity first because I'm hung up on what you look like, what your name sounds like, how you present to me, and the fact that I've already assigned the views, someone mentioned this, views, values, and I've come to my own conclusion, yet they're real for me. And so I think it's so important that we talk about the opportunity to learn. So what are our lessons today as we close out? Don't stop living, right? Because we have to live. Be open to learning. Be empowered by your dual identities. Stop assigning values and views to others because you don't want them to assign it to you. Remember that discomfort leads to change. Discomfort is good. We should always leverage our differences and be informed. So don't be afraid to ask the heavy questions because that part of the struggle is really a healthy process. Dialogue, we said, is powerful. Being defined by what's in your mind and your heart is important. Our place is first getting comfortable and knowing who we are. We can then determine how we want to show up, where we want to show up, and why. Silence is a great enemy. Listen to your inner voice, listen to the call. And as you know, I think Dr. Clifton said, this is, and others, this is a real time to reflect and understand that we are constantly in this battle and this struggle of which identity to lead with. We should develop all of them. How about bringing that blended, you know, identity to every situation? Because the multifaceted world we live in should be able to make room for all of the identities that make us who we are. They may be suppressed, but they're still very much a part of our DNA. They make us who we are. So we should be comfortable with bringing all of them to the forefront. So I just want to thank Nalini and the Elicit social justice team for bringing this great question or these questions to us. We've had great opportunity to reflect, and I think we really need to spend some time with these topics when we're done, whether you journal, whether you write poetry, whether you do a social media post, whether you go into other conversation with friends. It's a good time to learn and share.
Thank you so much, Natalie.